Let's talk about Syria. What's really happening in Syria right now? What's going on within their revolution?
It's an extremely bloody and complicated battle in the case of Syria because you have a regime that's been in power, right? The Assad family regime has been in power since Hafez al-Assad became president in 1970. He died in 2000 and his son Bashar al-Assad took over. It's a regime that is based on a narrow sectarian rule. So the Assad family are Alawites. Alawites are only about 12% of the Syrian population. They have been able to maintain their rule for so many years through a combination of penetration of the military, rule through the Ba'ath Party, strategic alliances with other minority groups and with members of the Sunni majority. But in the case of Syria, there is a legacy of a regime that is willing to brutally confront any opposition. So for example, starting in 1976 and through 1982, there was an insurgency against the Syrian government led by the Syrian Muslim Brotherhood, which very famously came to a head in 1982 in the town of Hama, where the Syrian military basically leveled the town of Hama and killed tens of thousands of people in a short period of time. That's known as the Hama Massacre, which just had its 30th anniversary. And so this is a regime that I think very deliberately in the case of Hama took the gloves off in a very brutal manner to show what it was willing to do to defend the regime. And we're in a similar case now where the regime is very much fighting for its life. And I think because of the dynamic of having a small sect that really controls the levers of power, the government is very aware, and the Alawite population, and to some extent other minority populations like Christians and Druze, they're concerned about having a majority Sunni government take over. Sunni Muslims in Syria are about 75% of the population, right? And because there is this history of bloody repression, especially within the last year and a half, but even beyond that, right? There is an understanding on the part of the Alawite regime that if they are to be overthrown, the consequences are going to be, the backlash is going to be brutal. Of course, on the side of the opposition, if you're someone who has been out in the streets, right, and your identity has been revealed to the government as a member of the opposition, you know that there's no going back, right? If the government wins, you are going to be dealt with quite brutally, right? And so there's, I think, a dynamic where both sides feel like they are fighting for their lives, where the stakes are huge, and there's no end in sight at this particular point in time.